Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. I want our theme today to be leadership. And that's a word that we kick around so often. It's almost like hero. People see somebody leading and they believe, oh, well, that person demonstrates leadership. Nope, not necessarily the case. The left believed Barack Obama to be a leader. He looked like a leader. He sounded like a leader. And I remember people when during the time of Trump's ascension to the presidency saying things like he doesn't seem like a leader. He doesn't appear to be certain things or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, what's that mean? Let me tell you, as a fighter, I'll give you a good example. There was a kid that I trained with. His name was Sosa. And he's a chubby Mexican kid, probably about 5'10", and he looked like a Pillsbury Doughboy. And if you saw him on the street, you wouldn't think anything of him. You wouldn't think this kid could fight his way out of a paper sack. And he was one of the best fighters I ever met. Now, if you're trained as a boxer or some sort of a pugilist, you know what I'm talking about. There are people that you meet and you go, oh, he doesn't look like much. And don't get in the ring with him. Don't pick a fight with him because they will absolutely stitch you up, as we call it. People think they recognize things. They go, oh, he has the carriage of a leader. Barack Obama made people believe he was a leader. Barack Obama was, look, I got no issue at all with this fool. None at all, except to tell you the truth. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't give a crap about Barack Obama. President, non-president, whether he was a dope-smoking choom guy leading his little gang of misfits in Hawaii or president of the United States. What I'm going to tell you about Barack Obama is the honest truth. Whether you want to see it or not, people will tell you, Kevin, you're jealous of him. Look, tell me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm going to give you the truth about Barack Obama. He was a fake leader. He made you feel like you were being led. I'll ask you a very simple question. If you were going to pick somebody to join you in a fight, would you pick Barack Obama? The answer is no. I'm going to answer for you. If you were going to pick somebody to run your organization, to say, let's build an organization together and get it, charge it up and get people moving forward. If you pick Barack Obama, you would be the biggest clown on the planet. He's never done it. He doesn't know how to do it. He can stand in front of an audience and make them believe in the unseen. And you know what? That's great for him. That got him elected. That got the Democrats to just go off the cliff with him, losing 1,000 seats and having nothing to run on in the future. Thank goodness for, let me give you this. I'll give you some praise for the people out there saying, oh, Kevin, come on. I'm going to give you a little praise. Thank you for Barack Obama, because without him, we don't get to see what abject lack of leadership gives you. And therefore, we get a real leader. See, leadership is it's such a cool concept when you think about it. Some people say the art of communication is the language of leadership. And I think that's where Barack Obama falls. They see it as, oh, well, he's a communicator. He's going to pass Obamacare. He's going to give people all these niceties that come with, with his ability to do this as a president. He can now give away all these things, and that's leadership. Okay, if that's the way you describe it, great. Leadership is partly communication. You have to be able to do it. I would tell you, if you really want to look at the art of communication and leadership, look at Donald Trump's tweets. Oh yeah, we got to go there. By the way, Happy New Year again, folks. Let's just do that all month. Let's just make sure we understand that this is a Happy New Year in 2018. I see the 8 at the end of that 2018, and I get excited because we are in the era of American leadership. Truly, we've gone decades without it. And what we've watched is the world go to crap. That's a technical term. It's gone to crap. And we've been under this delusion that we're leading the world. You know what? We started to do that. There's a saying, leading from behind. We started to follow the world under Barack Obama because they said he was such a great leader. His leadership was in his communication skills. They stick stuff on a teleprompter. He read it. He stood there. He looked good in a suit. He talked like, hey, you know what we're going to do? This is what's going to happen. And people going around the world going to look at America, and they're going to like this, that, and the other. And people just, oh my God, he's amazing. A black dude that can put two words together and not be like, oh, well, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was leadership. That's all it took for the left, man, is don't be holding your crotch. Don't say things like, I'm talking about, man, and you were good enough. Congratulations, leftists, for making black people believe that that's what we want to achieve. And you know the sad part? People believe this. We're going to be talking about LeBron James today. LeBron James believes that Donald Trump is a bad guy. He says, I'm not going to stay at a Trump hotel. Well, congratulations, LeBron. Really? Why? What is it about Donald Trump other than the fact that he isn't sticking a D behind his name? Because let me tell you something. This is a sad part about all this, and we got a lot to talk about with leadership, and I'm going to get back to these other points. Yeah, I know. Y'all look at me like, Kevin, you always jump around. I know I jump around. That's what keeps my audience on the toes. But look, at the end of the day, LeBron James, if Donald Trump was a Democrat, LeBron James would be all over it. He'd love him. He would be talking, extolling his virtues. And for the record, if Donald Trump was a Democrat, can you imagine what these clowns would be saying about him right now? They'd be talking about this tax cut like it was the best thing that ever happened. They would look at this stock market and say, we didn't even think it was possible, but we've done even better than Barack Obama. Yay! We couldn't, as a Republicans, we wouldn't win a seat in November 2018 if our lives depended on it. They'd be extolling the virtues of Trump. But these weak-kneed sissies, these spineless jellyfish politicians on the left will sell out America over an ideology. Same with LeBron James and many of these other Holly weirdos and entertainers and whatever else. Anyway, leadership. That's what we're going to be talking about today. Kevin Jackson, who are you listening to? Keep it.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. So, Antifa on November the 4th had taken out a full-page ad in a New York City, New York Times, and had announced in 20 locations that it was going to be radical, this, that, and the other. And we covered it when I was co-hosting Fox News, Fox and Friends. And it was funny in the prep meetings where everybody was saying, what's going to happen, Kevin? Pete Hegseth, he was saying, what do you think? Should we cover it? And the producers were all trying to figure things out. And I said, you got to cover it because you don't know what's going to happen. It would be remiss. But at the end of the day, I don't think much is going to happen. You can't give a warning to people like, we're going to be out here and we're Antifa. And in fact, the title on it the next day for us was Anti-Fail. But you can't put that out there and come out with, and let people know, hey, we're going to be out here with our chains and our brass knuckles and everything else, and then think you're going to be safe. I think Antifa, honestly, got more afraid of what could potentially happen to them than what they could potentially do to us. And look, I said this about Occupy Wall Street. I said, this will be, how did I put it? I was at the CPAC that year, and I said, we won't even remember who these guys are. It'll be, I said, you'll remember them like you would Whoopi Goldberg's, I think I said her profile on one of these dating sites or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was funny because people cracked up. And I don't remember things after I say them. But what I'll tell you is it was a big bust. It was a failure. And I'm glad it was a failure on the sense that maybe Antifa's finally figured out that nobody's afraid, nobody's intimidated. And oh, by the way, you're the fascist. But here's the thing you can rest assured for, of anything I tell you today. I mean, I'm going to tell you a lot of stuff that you can remember, but here's one you can start with. Antifa in a year won't even be around. They won't be around. And I'll tell you something else. Black Lives Matter is already marginalized to the point where nobody cares. They've got money behind them, Soros money, who knows, but nobody cares. It's racist. It's anti-American in so many ways, and people have sickened of the idea that we have to make some sort of special concessions because you're black. This country gives you an opportunity. These little fascist, kids that are living in mommy's basement looking for any excuse to be mad about something, mostly white kids. What are they protesting? We're going to help black people. Well, I tell you what, if you want to help black people, protesting about us isn't going to help. I'm just saying. It's like, Kevin, I'm going to protest on behalf of somebody buying you a burger. Well, you know what? Hey, I tell you what, how about we do this? How about you buy me a burger? I don't want you protesting on my behalf. So I got into a little bit of a rift, if you want to call it that, with this white kid. I interviewed Sheriff. Well, I didn't interview Sheriff. Actually, I was in that interview on the weekend with Sheriff Clark. And he came, Sheriff Clark doesn't mince words. He said, Kevin, it's these bunch of little snowflake, pansy white kids, because I asked him, I said, I find it insulting that these bourgeois white kids think they're the ones who should be, protesting on behalf of America because of us, because of black people. Look, we've been protecting ourselves for millennia. So what are you talking about? You're going to come protect us. I don't need you. So Sheriff Clark called them snowflakes. I called them snowflakes. Now there's two ways to think of snowflakes. A snowflake is your white girl. Like if you're a black dude and you're like, yeah, man, they're like, Kev, you dating that white girl? Yeah, man, got me a little snowflake. That's what we, in the vernacular, we call a white girl, a snowflake. Okay? But the bigger meaning has become that's sort of overtaken it is the idea of a snowflake college student, meaning somebody who can't handle the heat and typically is a white person, but doesn't have to be. It's the experience of you put those people under pressure or in the heat and they melt, or they collapse like a Hollywood stage chair. So that's the notion. So that was the notion. That was the way that me and Sheriff Clark used that terminology. So some guy writes to me and he's mad. Kevin, I can't believe you demean white people. I turned it off the minute that you said turned off Fox. The minute you said that. And so I wrote him back and I went, okay, fine. Thanks for the update. I don't think it, I'm sure, I don't know how Nielsen or Arbitron looks at the numbers, but I'm sure it registered. So congratulations to yourself. But you're offended over me using snowflake and you're making a racial reference, and I wasn't. I was making a pansy reference. I said, if you want to be mad at me, be mad that I called you guys pansies. But I said, but the bigger issue around that is you accept it. So you obviously believe you are one of those snowflakes who's a pansy. It was racial, man. I've looked it up and it means, and I said, look, first of all, and I gave him the definition. You're right. There is the snowflake definition of a white chick. But there's also the snowflake definition of you millennials and you college kids and your pansies. And you're not going to convince me that I said anything wrong because that term has been used. It's used by lots of people. I know you might like me to change it, because the left certainly loves to change, bully us around with the lexicon. But as it stands right now, I'm never going to quit saying it. But as it stands right now, it is an acceptable term for millennials who aren't willing to fight for anything. So, long story short, yesterday, after I got through all my ordeal with, flying around and everything else, the kid writes me back and says, Mr. Jackson, I'm really sorry. You were right, etc. Because what was funny, he sends me the definition of a snowflake as a young white girl, and I told him, I said, read the message I just sent you that said there's two definitions, and that's one of them. And then he got quiet for a bit. And then when I landed and got situated and all that, he sends me the note apologizing, which I told him it's big of him to do that. So I'm glad he did. But anyway, Antifa. So we're going to talk a lot about Antifa today in the subcontext of the shooting, in the subcontext of radicalization of America and radicalization of Muslims, radicalization of these snowflakes, these kids in college that don't even know what they're fighting for, radicalization of blacks in America, and so on and so forth. That's what the left does. It wants you to be upset. I've talked about this from a psychological point of view. If you are not happy, you don't want other people happy. You don't see happiness as, wow, I aspire to that. You see it as something to be jealous of. And that's exactly what's happening right now. The left want you to be miserable with them. Do you know the saying, misery loves company? And it does. But as a conservative who may be down and out or whatever and miserable, you know what I do? I go, man, I want to be happy. I was talking to one of the people on the plane when I flew in, and we were all, everybody's upset. And so I said, well, let's watch some comedy. So we put on a couple of comedy clips. We were all laughing. There were people coming over. What are y'all doing? We're watching comedy. Why not? We're stuck here. People looking for hotels and who knows. So why not enjoy it? Anyway, when we come back, we're going to delve into the church shooting and a bunch of other stuff, folks. I'm so glad you're here. Glad to be with you.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. I'd like to talk about poverty, if we could, for just a bit. And, I told you guys, pardon me, a while back, I wanted to go to these theme shows because I think that theming the show gives you it gives it more balance in terms of what we're finding in the political nature of things. And so, the Bible says there will be wars and rumors of wars, and we think about wars and we think, guys shooting at each other, atomic bombs and things like that. But there are many other wars that are being waged against you all the time. Right now, there's a war being waged in America. It's a silent war. It was a silent coup attempted of Donald Trump. A silent coup. A war. Conservative versus leftist. Call them whatever you want. Righteousness versus evil. That's what it was really about. It's a war. The war that an organization that we're supposed to trust because they work for us and they're supposed to be bipartisan, nonpartisan, in fact, called the FBI, and they thwart it to go to war with you, the citizen, who duly freely elected a president of the United States against all odds, and you're at war. We are the ones who are we're the poor people, and the rich people are the people that are in charge. The Hillary Clintons, the Barack Obamas, the James Comeys, all these guys, they deal in numbers you and I don't even understand. These guys give each other $10, $20, $50, $100,000. They go to $35,000 a person dinners in order to get each other elected. And that's life-changing money for many of us. It's just crazy how this works out. Jean-Paul Sartre said, when rich people fight wars with one another, poor people are the ones to die. When he made that comment, people thought, that's so true. It's not my kid's the one that had to go fight in Vietnam or whatever else is what old people say. My kid fought in World War. I fought in World War II for some rich man to stay back here and all that. The war is being fought right now. And the poor people are the ones dying. Hillary Clinton didn't die in this war she's been fighting. Haitians died. People that trusted Hillary Clinton in her dream. Barack Obama didn't lose a war. He became filthy rich in it. But you know who suffered? Black folks suffered mightily under him. Poor people that trusted him, that wanted to believe in the American dream, that he was going to bring it back. He brought nothing back. Barack Obama brought oppression. Oppression to poor people. Forget ideological battles here. We're talking about a president who said to more than half the people in this country, I don't give a crap what you think. You're going to get Obamacare. You're going to get guns running to Mexico. I'm going to kill the veterans at the VA. I'm going to persecute conservative groups who would dare want to get a 501c4 or C3 standing. I'm going to kill State Department people, and you know what? You're not going to do anything. You have no say in what I do. If I want to ship $400 million to Iran and add another $1.3 billion on top of that and give you an excuse for it, you will take it. Who do you think suffers as Barack Obama has allowed the spread of terror around the country, encouraged it around the world? He's encouraged it. Who suffers? Hillary Clinton, she's suffering. She's cutting deals with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, all these major countries who are cutting deals with corporations, and she's getting benefit. She's putting our national security at risk, giving control of uranium to our mortal enemy and accusing the other guy of doing it. When rich people fight wars with one another, poor people are the ones to die. You know, we think about rich and poor. We get these dividing lines. And it's funny to me. The government will tell you this. They say things like, if you make over $70,000 a year, you're no more happy. That's the magic number. You think any of them would be happy with that number? The answer is no. What they're telling you is you can have no more joy in being a millionaire or a billionaire then you can have it $70,000 a year. So what they're saying in effect, folks, is don't measure yourself by the amount of money you make. Well, isn't that something you would say to yourself? Let me ask you this. I'll ask the question a different way. Do you believe that if somebody has more money than you, that they are a better human being than you? I would venture to say every single one of us said no. In fact, you know many people that have more money than you that you go, that's a fool right there. He's got the money because he got it from his parents, or or it's illicit, or maybe he got it through some luck of the draw or however it occurred. But you still look at him and go, I wouldn't trade for his life or her life. Would you want to be Hillary Clinton? She's got over $100 million in the bank. I ask you, ladies, listening to this program, would you want to be Hillary Clinton? Okay, guys, you ready? Would you want to be Bill? I don't think so. Money is not the measure of us, right? It's not supposed to be. There's a saying, poor is the man who does not know his own intrinsic worth and tends to measure everything by relative value. A man of financial wealth who values himself by his financial net worth is poorer than a poor man who values himself by his intrinsic self-worth. So in other words, poverty does not make you a man or not. It doesn't mean you are a failure as a man because you may happen to not make as much money as your buddy. Isn't that a good thing to teach? So if that's the case, why do we spend so much time worrying about the poor? Worrying about how much money they have? Why doesn't the government focus on building the self-worth within the poor so they can say, you know what, I may not have as much money as somebody, but I'm having an amazing life. Why is it they seem fixated on evening out the money? Is it just because, oh, you know what, this will be more fair? And you know what's funny about this? Everybody who talks about evening out the money is filthy rich. Are they really looking to even out the money? Do you believe Hillary Clinton really wants to say, I'm going to even this money out? Because when she said to America, to the world, when Bill and I left the White House, we were broke. They aren't anymore. So she evened it out, and now they've gone from being worth, I don't know, $500,000, $250,000, $1 million to hundreds of millions of dollars. So she fixed it. Did she fix it for everybody else? Barack Obama wasn't worth more than $5 million when he entered the White House. He's worth probably close to $100 million now. He gets $400,000 a speech. I don't know where they're asking him to speak anymore. Haven't seen very much of that. Interesting point that it seems like it may be drying up. But his book deal was supposedly the largest book deal in history. I'm sure there are people out there that still love the man. His benefactors, I don't really know. But I'll tell you this, he got pretty doggone rich, but I don't think that girl who said she's going to get all her bills paid, I don't think she's doing as well. I'm just curious. See, there's something about poverty. I tell this to people all the time, that had it not been for me being poor, I wouldn't be the same guy growing up poor and seeing it and understanding it. I wouldn't be the same person. I would see very, very wealthy people come visit the ranch where my grandparents worked as caretakers for a very wealthy family, and I didn't begrudge them. I just looked at them and I learned. I looked at their habits. I looked at what they did. I looked at their kids. And I thought to myself, that's a lucky kiddo right there who really doesn't understand how lucky he is or she is. That's what I would say. I didn't begrudge him. No, I didn't feel like, oh man, if I was in their place, I would just go, they don't really get it. They got lots of opportunities here to do things that most kids don't get. But you know what? I could see it. I could see that they lacked that drive or whatever it was that was instilled in me because of that poverty, because of that hungry belly every now and then. You know what I mean? It's a metaphorical hungry belly because I never missed any meals with my grandparents. But that hunger for more. Seeing somebody flying on a private jet and going, whoa, people do that? I'd never been on an airplane until I got to go with a very wealthy family overseas. I'm trying to think, maybe that's not the case. I probably flew Southwest somewhere. But I didn't fly overseas until a wealthy family, this family took me with them. So you got to see how things worked, and you were like, wow, this is interesting. This is different. But it always cracks me up that the left, they put these dividing lines between rich and poor, and they make one's good and one's bad. Is it really? Is poverty really that bad? Because I don't think it was. It instilled in something in me that I can almost guarantee you most of my friends who had money didn't get. And I don't understand why the left is not made to pay for that, because they always tell us, don't measure yourself by your money, but that's what they always tend to do. Just my thoughts.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. How's this for equality? Women can't compete with men academically. I didn't say it. It's somebody else that said this. And you know what else? It's from Wackadamia. Oh, no, this is not some men's think tank. This isn't the male society of totalitarian men speaking here. No, this is Oxford. As in England. Oxford. They're saying this. How's that for equality? In an effort to raise test scores, Oxford University give women 15 minutes extra to complete their exams. Huh? Say what? It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. You can get us on demand anytime, 24/7. You can hear this misogynistic talk about women not being able to compete with men academically. Now, we know women cannot compete with men in some of these physical activities, you know, like hammer throwing and, I don't know, the javelin and a bunch of other stuff, lifting weights and all that. I know there's some strong women in the world, but the strongest man is still stronger than the strongest woman. And now we find out our brains are even better. How's that? I'm not saying this. Don't get mad at me. I don't want your emails. Send them to Oxford. According to officials at Oxford, allowing women more time on math and science is, quote, academically demanding and fair. Oxford implemented this new process, and here's the numbers. 39% of women earn what are known as first-class degrees in math, while 47% of men do. That's right, 8% more of men do that, and I did that math faster than any woman that was listening to the program. You want to know why I know? Because Oxford said it. Not me. This isn't Kevin Jackson. Don't send your mail to me. Send it to Oxford. Now, here's what's interesting. It's apparently a geography thing. In 2014, the Huffington Post examined the new gender gap in education. And according to current statistics, women are enrolling in and completing college at a higher rate than men these days. Beginning in 1991, more women aged 25 to 29 had obtained a bachelor's degree or higher than men did of the same age. The gap in college completion has widened in recent years because at the rate of men who are earning degrees has flatlined, while the rate of women earning degrees has continued to increase. There you go, Section 9 or whatever they call it. Since 1969, the rate of women ages 25 to 29 earning degrees has risen some 20%, while men in the same earning degree program, it's barely increased. So now 35% of all women have at least a bachelor's degree compared to only 25% of men. See? They're dumbing down men. They're emasculating them. They're infantilizing them. They're making them little boys. And then the girls have surpassed them, and now they're going to have a nation of Amazons here in America, but not in England. Where am I going? I'm moving to England, of course. Women now represent 3/5 of graduate students. That's 60% for you women out there listening. 60% of the graduate students are you. Now, my question is this. Are British women just more stupid than their American counterparts? This did not emphasize STEM classes. We're not talking math here. I suspect men in math are still smarter than women, even in the United States. But I don't know. I don't have the statistics. Now, it's not for me to keep up with. But if I did, I'd be smarter at getting to them than the women that are listening to the program. Not conservative women. I'm talking about these leftist women that audit my show, that go back and report to others on the left. Because you conservative women, you are smart. Stateside, Barack Obama launched an initiative. It was called My Brother's Keeper. Yeah, that project that took aim at the problem I just described, where men are now falling off. They wanted to encourage more young Black and Hispanic men to enroll in and complete college. Now, while we should celebrate that more women attend college and obtain degrees than ever before, we should be concerned that men are being left behind here in America. And not much is being done about it. This trend has dire economic and social consequences. Men who don't graduate from college earn less money than men who do. Now, before we get into all these different statistics about this, you have to understand my take on it. I'm not that big a fan of college. I believe that men can learn how to weld, they can learn woodworking and things like this and make themselves an amazing living. Average welder today makes over $100,000, 6 figures. Many people I know in these professional degrees don't make 6 figures. Now we got social justice warriors and things like this. This, to me, is why we have these skewed statistics. This idea that, the man over in America is getting more and more stupid and graduating with fewer degrees. What it is men say, I'm not going to school to get a social justice warrioring degree. I'll either go to school to do something I want to do or I'm not going to do it. But anyway, my brother's keeper, it's been a failure. It's like all of the things Barack Obama does. Failure. So here's my question. I'm back to this. Is it a geographical issue? How do we know? There's all kinds of things influencing the study, but here's what I can tell you. These studies all contradict each other, but one thing that does remain consistent is leftism. Because on the one hand, we've got Oxford claiming that women need more time to compete with men. On the other hand, we have Obama spending big bucks to make sure that men can compete with women. And then there's this Harvard study that reported men and women perform equally well on high-pressure time tests in math. Further, women far outperform men in low-pressure timed verbal exams. So it's about differences, right? Now, some Oxford officials claim that they'd rather see a demonstration of true mathematical understanding instead of this race to the answer. And if that's the case, remove the time constraints. But the same officials are also quick to point out that women are more likely to check their answers than men. So, did they even bother to ask men in this study, did you check your answers? Because if you checked your answers, it slows down all the test takers. So maybe the women aren't technically as slow, maybe they're just more deliberate. Certainly makes sense to me. Notwithstanding, is it possible to admit, just admit this, that men and women are actually different biologically? I mean, we do have different sexual parts. Here's another example. Boys tend to be more active than girls. It's just true. On the flip side, that makes them more restless when boys have to sit for long periods of time. Brains develop differently in boys versus girls. Scientific stuff, man. This isn't Kevin Jackson making it up. Male brains, they say, this is from Psychology Today, utilize nearly 7 times more gray matter for activity, while female brains utilize nearly 10 times more white matter. What does that mean? Is the female brain racist? I don't know. Gray matter matters. Gray matters of the brain are localized. They're information and action processing centers, specific splotches in areas of the brain, and they can translate to a kind of tunnel vision when they're doing something. Once they're deeply engaged in a task or a game, they demonstrate not much sensitivity to the things going around them. That describes a lot of guys I know. Also describes a few women. White matter's networking grid, it connects the brain's gray matter to processing centers. You can understand this. You probably know women who think this way. Nothing is bad about this, folks. So no matter how we try to make the genders identical, they remain fundamentally different. But let's talk about the real world. One question that they failed to address is how these extra minutes translate into real world applications. Now, surely college is meant to be prepped for the real world. We can all agree on that, right? So bosses who need to give women 15 minutes more time to complete a task are going to feel a little bit shortchanged. If you ask this, brother, I'm just saying. If that becomes the standard, then won't 15 minutes become counterproductive in leveling the playing field? Doesn't that have to be factored into this, I make only 72 cents to every dollar that a man makes? And the guy goes, yeah, but it takes you 15 minutes more to think. Shut up. See, because administrators want to hire people who can think the fastest, get the job done the quickest. Isn't there a saying out there? Let me think. What is it? What is it about money? Oh, that's right. Time is... Somebody help me here. Help me. Is it money? That's what it is. Yeah. Now, I know a lot of women who can outthink me on their worst day. I saw a hand go up. Oh man, the people that come into my broadcast booth. So anyway, I get it. I don't necessarily even believe it. But here, I'm going to throw you another wrinkle. What about the transgender community? Should men turned women be warned that this could occur? Or do they still have the advantage because they haven't really gotten all the plumbing done and all their naughty bits haven't been changed over? And here's another one. Think about this. Here's another conundrum. What of God, seemingly male? For men to spend less time rather in finding answers to the mysteries of the universe, God must be a male. Or maybe this study and the multitude of others that look to minimize women are just leftist nonsense? That's my calculation, and I computed that faster than women.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. KJRadio.com. I want to focus on something that I thought everybody possessed and learned that they didn't. You know what I'm talking about? It's a very simple word. It's called courage. Courage. I thought everybody had courage. I thought everybody had a breaking point. Well, they said, okay, it's on. I don't care who the toughest guy in the world is. It is now time for you and me to go man to man, hand to hand. It's on. Dude, I figured it would be something like push your child. Hit your kid. Hit my kid. Watch. Tell me you're the baddest guy in the world. Tell me you got a weapon, you got a knife, whatever. Hit my kid and watch what happens. You get what I'm saying? I think most parents would agree with me. I'm speaking metaphorically here. Hit somebody's kid, what do? They want to go after you. Even, I think people that don't have kids, they can relate to that. You hit my kid, I don't have any kids with you. Yeah, you don't have to have kids to feel that, but that's the case. Hit somebody's kid, threaten to. They don't have to have a kid. Say, look, if you had a kid and I hit your kid, what would you do? Right? I'm thinking everybody says, oh, I'd kick it. Boy, will be on like Donkey Kong, right? But it's not the case. It's not the case. People are chicken. They really are. They're inherently fight or flight. It's flight. Get out. Run. Go. Head for the hills. You know the old joke when the bears come out of the woods and the guy says, what are you doing? The guy stops, put on his tennis shoes. He says, you can't outrun that bear. And he says, I don't have to outrun that bear. I got to outrun you. And he's in the wind. That's what people do. They look at what's the easy way. How do I get out of a situation? And for the record, we are human beings. We are supposed to talk ourselves out of situations. I get that. But I'm saying when your back is against the wall, what do? I'm thinking, I grew up, and you guys know this about me. It was in my first book. I'm thinking that no matter what, you fight it out. You know what I mean? So what? There's no army behind you. But I always thought that there was an army behind me. I was convinced of that. It's funny, when I wrote my first book, I had about 2,000 people say to me, Kevin, you write a book, I'll buy the book. And we did a poll. If I write this book, will you buy it? And we did a poll on the website at the time. And 2,000 people said, you write a book, man, I'll buy that book. Shoot. So 200 books is what we sold. Out of the group of the 2,000, it was 1/10 that actually backed it up. One of my buddies, Joe the plumber, Say he was going to run for public office, all the way up until the point of Joe declaring he was going to run for Congress. People like, you should run for Congress, Joe. You're an honest guy. I donate to your campaign. So Joe decides he's going to run for Congress. And he calls me up. He says, dude, where are the donations? Where are the people that said, I'll give you my 10, my 20, my 50, my $100? Non-existent. Guy couldn't raise enough money to pay make a mortgage payment. And he's going, these are the people that said they want you to do it. You're an honest man, an honest Joe, average Joe America, blah, blah, blah. Didn't donate a nickel. Look, I know it was during the time of Obama. It was rough for everybody. But don't tell people you're going to do something and not do it. To me, that's one of the things that you want to be known for, is being able to say, oh man, if so-and-so says it's going to happen. But I can tell you, and look, I'm not trying to condemn you folks. I'm not at all. But I'm going to tell you about yourselves from time to time. We talk about this conservative movement. We talk about the people we follow, the people we want to support. I question, are you being serious? Are you serious about it? Do you have the courage of commitment? There's a saying by a gentleman, he was a philosopher, a French philosopher, his name is Albert Camus, and he says, those who lack courage will always find a philosophy to justify it. And he had a thing that he called absurdity. Yeah. Widely acknowledged as the greatest philosopher of the absurd. And his idea was simple. He said human beings are caught in a constant attempt to derive meaning from a meaningless world. Now, I can apply this in so many ways, but I want you to marinate on that for a while. Meaningless world. I talked about this the other day. I get up every day. I do the same thing. I start fighting these leftists. Now, the question is why? Is it because I'm so courageous and want to fight? Oh, no, it's Kevin. He just likes to fight. Or am I trying to find meaning? And the answer is no. I already know the world is meaningless. See, if you go to the Bible and you look in the book of Proverbs and you get all the wisdom of Solomon, but then in the book Ecclesiastes, you know what Solomon says? All the stuff we do is vapor. Chasing of money, chasing of fame, chasing of whatever, it's all vapor. Because unless you believe in something bigger than you, it's all vapor. So you know what I believe in? I believe that all the effort that we put in here, though it's meaningless here, it carries through in some form. Not by my name. It isn't like the cosmos is going to be whispering, Kevin Jackson, Kevin Jackson. for the rest of infinity. I don't even care. I understand the level of insignificance I have in the world and in the world once I'm gone. It is of zero consequence, but I get up and do it every day because I think the bigger picture is important. And I believe for whatever reason, because you can't get it out of me, is that having that courage to do it, to confront it, is going to mean something somewhere else. I don't know. Maybe I am a victim of the philosophy of the absurd. But I think that many of us, while we're here, we admire the people who demonstrate courage. Who say, you know what? I know that goes against the grain. I know that's not what you believe. I know that you wouldn't do this. You wouldn't follow this course of action, whatever. I believe there are people that say that's an admirable trait. And for me, there's something, I don't know. There's something inside of that. Because I'm going to tell you something. I don't think cowards are going to spend a whole lot of time being thought of in eternity in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's a trait you want to take with you anywhere. I'm a coward. Anyway, there's something else that was said about courage. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, when loving someone deeply gives you courage. And I think that the love of this country, the love of, because it isn't a philosophy for me, it's the love of the country and what it's done for me that gives me courage.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hey everybody, Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. If you want to reach us, 844-551-8255, or you want to get us on demand anytime you want, kjradio.com. And we're always happy to have you download the show, listen to segments, pass those along to friends, etc. And today we are talking about truisms. And the reason why I'm talking about this is because a truism is something that's irrefutable. You don't even bother to argue it. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Look at the Jesse Jackson family, right? Look at the Clinton family. Look at these politicians who do the craziest things, and then you look at their kids and you go, oh, there you go. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And why are we so focused on family and raising kids right? My son threw a piece of paper, like it was very small, like a gum wrapper, on the ground. And his mom said to him, "Get that up." And he's like, oh, scrambling. He's like, it was just a little piece of paper. Get it up. We don't litter. End of story. When I'm walking along, it could be practically anywhere. I can't do it in liberal cities, but I will pick up the trash of other people. I've watched people throw things on the ground. I'll just walk right behind them, pick it up, and put it in the trash can. Now, I don't know if anybody sees it. I don't know if it registers. I look at it as, okay, that moron leftist didn't want to do something that he or she should have done. And it's both genders. In the city, they don't care. And I just look at it as, you know what? No, don't even think about it. Act like you dropped it. And I throw it away. I'm not looking for somebody to go, oh, wow, he's such an amazing guy. I just think that it's a horrible thing to do. Leftists talk about love of the environment. The truism would be we should respect Mother Earth and take care of it, right? There's nobody that would argue with that. But who does it? We do. Conservatives do. Leftists don't. They talk about it. There's another truism. Actions speak louder than words. You heard that one? Yeah. In Africa, they say it differently. They say when deeds speak, words fall silent. It's an African proverb. Yeah. So That's the fact. Actions do speak louder than words. I love you. Really? Then why do you keep, fooling around? Why do you keep messing with that? Why do you keep always stealing money from my bank account? Versus, coming up and hugging me and showing me and being a contributing person to my life, et cetera, et cetera. Actions speak louder than words. You can tell your kids you love them till you're blue in the face, or you can hug them and encourage them and explain life to them and things like that and let them grow up to be solid citizens. Barack Obama, he was full of words, glorious, beautiful words. Donald Trump, and the truism, when deeds speak, words fall silent, actions speak louder than words. Donald Trump goes and he does it, period. We talked about these kids that Donald Trump got released from China. I just want to have you think for 1 second. Where would these young black men be if Barack Obama were president? Be honest. I'd like leftists to really consider this. Do you honestly believe, given Barack Obama's track record, that these young black men would have been released within 3 days of being put in Chinese jail, that they would be on their way home to America, having shoplifted in a foreign country? Do you think they'd be home? Because if you say yes, I'm going to remind you of the length of time that we've had hostages, American citizens, sitting in jails around the world under Obama. You know how he got the ones in Iran back? He shipped $1 billion plus by plane overseas to Iran. That's when they released the hostages. He rebuilt their nuclear program to get our hostages back. What about Otto Warmbier? He didn't even get him back. That kid was in North Korea because he stole a flag, a tchotchke North Korean flag. He was in North Korea for the better part of a year, and it took Donald Trump to bring him home so he could die. He was so abused in North Korea. And we talked about Tamarisi, Andrew Tamarisi, Marine Sergeant, took a wrong turn in Mexico, stayed there the better part of a year, suffering from PTSD. A Marine, the commander-in-chief of America, with a deficit of $57 billion that Mexico has in trade with us. They certainly can't compare to our military might. And Barack Obama couldn't make a phone call and get a Marine sergeant home. It took Trump. And when he got home, Donald Trump gave the man $25,000. I'm just telling you, actions speak louder than words. I hear people, the never Trumpers, and people that dislike this man. Look, I know people will listen to this program and say Kevin's all in for Donald Trump. It's just not the truth. I wasn't happy with Donald Trump's tax plan. I'm not happy with this budget. I only trust that Donald Trump understands what he's doing, and he will eventually cut these budget issues and begin to shrink the deficit and eventually the economy's running great, but we can't continue to spend the way we're spending, and we must cut the debt. So hopefully that'll occur. So I'm not lockstep with the guy, but what I will tell you is this: the man is about action. He doesn't come on and tell you things like there's not a scintilla of evidence, a smidgen of evidence against the IRS that's real when in persecution of conservatives, and then we find out later that's a lie. He doesn't tell us that he's going to ship money over to Iran because we've lost some court battle with them, and it's not money for hostages, when that's what it is. He doesn't go around, Donald Trump doesn't go around apologizing for what America's done, when in fact we are the best hope for savior of this world. What are you talking about? And the irony of it all is that action after action that Donald Trump does, that helps this economy, that helps the American citizen, that makes people feel good about being American again, action after action, you have naysayers out there. You have people that are so they hate being wrong to such a degree that they will absolutely sacrifice you. They will sacrifice the Donald Trump because they want to be right. Let me tell you something. If I had been wrong about Barack Obama, I would gladly admit it. If the dude came out saving companies, bringing business back, revitalizing the economy, I would tell you in an instant, man, I'm completely wrong. Well, Kevin, what about his stock market? He paid $1 trillion a year to prop up the stock market. Donald Trump's not having to do that. Anyway, we're talking about truisms today, folks. Next, we'll talk about the best times and the worst of times.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
You know, I was here just a few months ago. I spoke at the West Virginia Chamber of Commerce. Senator Manchin was there. I looked him in the eye, and I told him, I said, Joe, the people of the Mountain State are counting on you. And I said, let's get this tax cut done together. But Joe voted no. Joe voted no to give working families more of your hard-earned money. Joe voted no on tax cuts for job creators and on expanding the child tax credit, giving you your first $24,000 in income tax-free, real breaks for families in West Virginia. Joe voted no. But it's not just the tax cut. Senator Joe Manchin has voted no time and again on the policies that West Virginia needs. When the time came to repeal and replace the disaster of Obamacare, Joe voted no. When we empowered West Virginia to defund Planned Parenthood, Joe voted no. And when it comes to that wall that we're gonna build on the southern border, Joe said, quote, well, I'm not voting for the wall either. Folks, Joe's just gonna keep voting against West Virginia. Now that might make Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi pretty happy. But West Virginia needs to let him know you expect better from Joe.
I love that clip, and I also love that Vice President Pence is back out there on the trail, building up his own gravitas, learning from the master, Donald Trump, and you're watching this evolution of the Republicans that, quite frankly, the Democrats have no, what do they call it, Bush League. They have nobody coming up. No, I forget what they call it, but you know what I'm saying. They don't have anybody in the lineup that's ready to go coming up from AAA ball to get into the majors. Listening to Kevin Jackson, folks. KJRadio.com, 844-551-8255 if you want to call the show. They don't have that group that's coming up. They've got nothing. Everybody's got the same ideas, the same incestuous thoughts, and crazy policy positions that have gotten us in trouble and that Donald Trump is extricating us from and that these guys don't even know how to behave with. So good for them. But the reason why I play that is to show you how big a trouble the Democrats are in. Manchin wants to now appear to be Republican. He's pulling a rhino John McCain in order to make people believe that he has seen the light. And there's Vice President Pence going, no, don't believe it. West Virginia, he lied to you. He does not support us. He's now a Johnny-come-lately. Why? Because now he sees our policies work. We need somebody that's an early adopter that sees it from the beginning. Somebody that's got that fire in their belly that says, I understand what you need. You shouldn't have to convince somebody of the conservative way. You either are or you aren't. This is why I always talk about these people that have made this, foxhole conversion into conservatism. I used to be a Democrat, but then they made me mad and I switched over. Really? What did it take? Your lack of history? Your lack of observation? What? I'm not mad at people for doing it, but don't try to. People canonize these folks. A good example, Sheriff Clark. I like Sheriff Clark. I mean, I've been at a couple of events with him. He doesn't speak to me. It isn't, and I don't think it's anything intentional. He's just kind of, quite frankly, a bit egotistical, in my opinion. He wants to be around those that can elevate him. Well, good for him. But he's a former Democrat, and I've never been one. I don't have to make any apologies for, this is what made me finally come to the conclusion. I've been staunchly conservative since I had my first thought that I can recall. I'm talking about, 7, 8 years old, where I became, came of age, so to speak, knew who I was, and I've never, ever considered going to that side of the aisle. Not once. I'm not getting mad at people for it, but I'm just saying that's the facts. You're watching these people slowly come over. Some are coming over, and I'm glad we get the Sheriff Clarks of the world. One of my guys, Christopher Harris, he grew up Democrat. Daddy was Democrat, whatever. Saw the light, boom, made the conversion. Now he is a holy roller for conservatism. Good for him. But the reason why I play this is I played that clip and talk about Manchin and others is I want you to understand people are seeing this. It's no longer a guess on do conservative policies work. They use all these things, voodoo economics with Reagan, trickle-down economics, Reaganomics. They give it all these names, these scary tactics to scare people off. And Reagan, being a governor and understanding politics, he played the game a little bit, and we canonized him, rightfully so, because he was able to deliver a message that put them on kilter, off kilter. But we have somebody that's greater than Reagan, not in terms of his speaking ability about it, but in terms of his actions. And I'm watching this guy convert people, transform people. And how's he doing that? He transforms people because what Donald Trump does is say, I'm going to prove it to you by putting it in your pocket. I'm going to prove it to you by getting you that job. I'm going to prove it to you by getting you that lower cost in fuel, that lower cost in food, or whatever it may be. And he proves it. And now that it's being proven, you got the Johnny-come-latelys, the Manchins. He wants to come over and say, woo, look at me. Let me tell you what's happening right now. Donald Trump made the comment the other day, we played that clip, where he talked about, I don't care if you shut the government down, I'm going to get DACA. And he says, and you know what? I'm going to get everything I want, and if it means shutting down the government, so be it. He goes, I can't speak for my representative friends here, but I suspect they believe. Dude, let's just play that clip.
Good evening. I'm Shannon Bremen for Bret Baier tonight. We begin with a new warning from President Trump. He says he's perfectly willing to let the government shut down again if his border security plans are not accepted. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts starts us off tonight. Good evening, John.
Shannon, good evening to you. With the clock ticking down to the March 5th deadline to get something done on the Dreamers and the government set to run out of money again on Thursday evening, the president appeared to roll those two things together into a threat that seemed to take everyone in Washington by surprise. Chairing a meeting on strategy to confront the notorious Hispanic gang MS-13, President Trump threw a bomb into talks on a budget deal, saying if he can't get an agreement on immigration reform, he's happy to have another government shutdown.
I would shut it down over this issue. If we don't straighten out our border, we don't have a country. Without borders, we don't have a country. So would I shut it down over this issue? Yes. I can't speak for our great representatives here, but I have a feeling they may agree with me.
See, that's the part I really like where Donald Trump says, I have a feeling they may agree with me. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, KJRadio.com. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Donald Trump is telling you, look, I'm a leader. This is what I'm going to do. Now, they're free to do what they want. I suspect they're going to agree with me. Now, why does he say that? He says it very simply, because he's got the Democrats on the ropes. The Democrats, like Manchin, are now saying, you know what? I better jump on board. The Republicans have done it. Do I really need to go back through these State of the Union stats where 97% of Republicans said they love the speech? 43% of Democrats say they love the speech. 72% of independents say they love the speech. The so-called direction of the country flipped within a month. In terms of, I think it was saying 41% said it was going in the wrong direction, 41% in the right direction, 53 in the wrong. A month later, 53 say it's in the right direction, 41 in the wrong. And that's skewed statistics. And because, like I said before, you can't have State of the Union speech like what Donald Trump had, where 97% of Republicans, 43% of Democrats, and 72% of independents like what he's doing, like the speech. The speech was the direction he was going. So disregard those other polls. They're nonsense. What you're witnessing is a full pendulum swing, folks, back in the other direction. Why? Because you have somebody who says, I'm not settling for what you've been telling me is right when I know it's wrong. I'm not settling for it on DACA. I'm not settling for it on building my wall. I'm not settling for it on this anemic economy that I inherited. I'm not settling for it on protection of American citizens over illegals. I'm not settling for it in protection of American citizens over Muslims. You can give me all the political correct nonsense you want. It isn't going to fly. And that's what Trump did that has the left moving over in droves. Now look, what do the hardcore elitists say? I'm died into progressivism. When we come back, I'm going to talk about Joe Biden and what he's having to say. But you listen to this hardcore so-called progressive and watch how he's having to meld over into other things. You want to know why? Into Donald Trump's way of thinking. And the reason is Donald Trump takes enough of what they want to do good in their programs, and he does exactly what the left would do. He steals it and says, now it's ours. Because here's the real deal, folks. It's always been ours. We're the people who are looking for the righteous thing to do. We can understand when an injustice has been done. And to these kids that have come over with their parents, illegal or otherwise, that are 2, 3, 4 years old, they didn't have a choice. Trump understands that. That's the compassion George Bush tried to get to and never could attain.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson. I wanted to talk about poverty because the story came out and it was about universal basic income. They call it UBI. And this is a concept that's been talked about and tried overseas for quite some time. You just get standard money for being alive. A certain amount of dollars. And in the United States, there's the mayor of Stockton, California, wants to implement UBI, and he's giving low-income residents $500 a month, no questions asked. You get $500 that just come out of nowhere. So needless to say, this money's coming from hardworking, tax-paying Americans who may or may not be doing well, but they're $500 for every person that's getting $500, somebody's got to give it. Some give more, some give less. But the people that are out there hustling, doing it every day, are the ones that are getting it. I just want to put it a different way. If you were getting $500 extra a month that were tax-free, that you didn't have to do anything for, what might you do? Might you start a business? Might you invest it? Whatever. I don't know what you would do, but here's what I do know. You're not getting it. You're paying it. And somebody who is not going to do most of what I just described, anything close, is going to get it, be completely unappreciative of it, and think next year, why can't they give me more? Unbelievable that we live in a time where people want to take money from productive people, give it to somebody for no reason other than, well, they seem like they need it. Now, the interesting backdrop of this is it's $500 a month. So for the sake of discussion, it's what? $17 a day, $18 a day. When you consider that the world lives on half the world lives on $5 a day. Half the people in the world, $5 a day. On top of you providing housing, you providing a SNAP card, that's welfare, you providing daycare, child care, all kinds of government subsidies to the poor. On top of that, which is rumored, and this number varies all the time, that a family of four in certain states can get the equivalent of $61,000 a year in welfare when you look at subsidized housing, subsidized daycare, subsidized food, subsidized medical, schooling, and so on. And somebody wants to add $6,000 more to that. No questions asked. Mayor Michael Tubbs calls his city ground zero for issues like wage stagnation, rising housing prices, and loss of middle-class jobs that affect the nation. Now, I want you to think about this. This black mayor, Michael Tubbs, is talking about all the things that Barack Obama was unable to accomplish. And he wants to put that now on the back of people who believe in Trump and what President Trump has been able to accomplish. Wage stagnation. I don't know, did we report on this? Trump, in the first time in, I think it's a decade, wages have finally significantly begun to rise. First time in a decade. Didn't happen under Barack Obama. Minuscule. So there's wage stagnation. Rising housing prices. I got to hand it to him. Donald Trump has done that. He's increased the value of people's homes. Tubbs laments the loss of the middle-class jobs again. Who's bringing those jobs back? Donald Trump. Why is it impacting California? Why isn't Tubbs mad at Jerry, the governor, Jerry Brown? Why isn't he mad at Jerry Brown for putting in a tax system that is chasing corporations out of California? Why not? I talked about this subject on Fox News, and I said this. I said, if I'm not mistaken, and I remember we did this story a while back, Stockton, California was one of the cities, I'll get it out, one of the cities in California who was on the verge of bankruptcy. I know, and I'm not sure, I don't think Compton was, but it could be Compton too. But I'm pretty positive Stockton was one. Where is this money coming from? Play the end game, the end sum game here. You got X number of people in Stockton, California that fall under welfare. I don't know how many, but it's getting bigger. And you got X number of people working. You got very few prospects of people coming in to add businesses to Stockton, California for the very reason I said earlier, Jerry Brown's taxes, crazy regulations, so on and so forth. How long does this last? You can give temporary respite to some of these people, but how long does it last? And what happens to them? Are they going to extricate themselves from poverty and go into things that are productive? If you said to me, Kevin, we're going to do this program and we believe that in 5 years we're going to have an entrepreneur that's going to bring 2,000 jobs back to Compton. Okay. There's a return on investment. When it comes to leftism, there is no return on investment. Oh, here it is. They went bankrupt in 2012. They want to diversify from agriculture. Thank you for that note. Bankrupt in 2012. I knew Stockton had an issue. Couldn't remember what it was. So, and I remember them being one of the largest cities that had filed bankruptcy in a long time. So who bailed them out? I'm talking to him. He goes on to say this. I feel that as mayor, it's my responsibility to do all that I can to begin figuring out what's the best way to make sure that our folks in the community have a real economic floor. So that $500 on top of all the other services that they get is the economic floor. Now, let me tell you what he believes. Tubbs believes that because that money comes right back into the community in form of grocery stores, bodegas, whatever, gasoline, electricity, things, it's circulating back. And that's helping people because they're going to tax the crap out of the corporations to get the money back. He believes that's the cycle. It's just, these people are weird. Dorian Warren serves as a co-chairman of the Economic Security Project. They're contributing $1 million to the initiative. He says the goal is to gather data on economic and social impacts of giving people a basic income. As I've said to you guys, it's been tried before. It doesn't work. There's no pride of ownership in getting $500. In fact, I've told this story a few times, and I don't remember what the context was, but I remember somebody said everybody would get. It was mostly black audience. They said everybody would get $1,000, and the first question was, why just 1,000? And it was yelled out quick, and then people were like, yeah. And I remember thinking to myself, I forget the context of it. It was something I saw or read, and I remember thinking to myself, you could give people $1,000 free dollars. It would be like showing up to Oprah, and she says, look under your chairs, and everybody pulls out, and she says, what is in there? And they go, it's $1,000. And everybody yells out, is that all? You would go, what do you mean? It's newfound money. It's not even your, it's nothing for you to even, you don't have to do anything for it. Complaining. Anyway, they said this. In addition to tracking what residents do with the money, Warren says we will be monitoring how a basic income affects things like self-esteem and identity. Now, I cannot tell you how wrong. How about I save them some time and energy? Here, Kevin, here's $500 a month. Go do what you want with it. So I go get the money, and then I wait. It's 2 days before I need it again, right? And I'm like, oh, when's the money man coming? And you come back and you give me that $500. You give me that $500, and it gets quicker and quicker. I spend it. First I get it. I'm like, wow, thank you. Wow, this is unexpected. The next month I go around the 29th. I know, so this is going to be every month. Yeah, okay. So around the end of the month, I'm like, okay. So a day or two, I'm already anticipating it. Believe me when I tell you, I'll start to spend it quicker and quicker. I will wait earlier in the month for when am I going to get that $500. And then I'll become resentful. Why is it I got to wait so long? Man, I forget that I'm the one spending it quicker and that it's a free ride. It becomes your obligation to me to get me this money. And God forbid if you're a day late, right? This guy wants to monitor self-esteem and identity. There is none. It isn't earned. It isn't something that I got to put my hands on and go, I made this. I mean, give some incentive to say, start a business. We're going to give you $500 a month to cultivate a business. If you keep this business going, if it's viable, we're going to keep doing it. Give me something like that. There is no incentive. It sucks the life out of you over time. And these guys don't get it. And it really bugs me because it's such an easy thing to understand.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. Could not be more thrilled to have you join me, listening to the show, getting your feedback. That's starting to come more and more. I don't know whether it's 2018, you're opening up. We've formed a relationship. You feel like you're comfortable with me. Whatever it is, take me home to daddy, right? Whatever it is, I'm glad we have found ourselves, and you guys are starting to communicate more. Now, I've been getting your other stuff, and you guys know I write you back, and we have our dialogue, but I'm just telling you, the volume increased. Maybe you had more time on your hands during the holiday. Maybe you're more resilient. You feel, that's not the word I was looking for. You're more, it's like you're feeling good. I'll think of something else for it, but you're feeling better. You're like, you know what, 2018, that Kevin Jackson's right. We left an amazing year. We're starting an even more amazing year with lots of things that are due to happen. And you're going, we're at the brink of stuff, man. Why doesn't it happen? Why does not this stuff? I'm ready, Kevin. I'm ready to watch the Clintons go to prison and some other people do this. And I'm ready to watch my stock portfolio continue to grow. We just blasted through 25,000 on the Dow. And all, I mean, it's a crazy time, crazy good if you're a conservative. So what do I want you to do? I want us to focus today on patience. The theme today is patience. And what's funny is I'm probably one of the worst people to talk about it. I'm impatient. I've learned how to deal with it. Aren't we all sort of impatient? Well, it's brought. I mean, it's sort of an innate thing. You're born with it. You want it now. Once you become aware, from your development as a little toddler, a little baby, and you become a toddler, and you want something, you want it now. Tolstoy said, "The two most powerful warriors are patience and time." Now, let me tell you something about yourselves, conservatives. You've learned patience. You've learned how to pace yourself. You've learned that you are not going to become the CEO of a company in 2 years. You've learned lots of things, that you have to put things off. You have to wait. You have to save, that things come to you as you in other words, like you collect baseball cards and you don't think, next year my baseball card's going to be worth money. You think in 50 years or 100 years, and you plan that. You push it down the road. You buy gold or silver and you say, yeah, I don't care what it costs today. I know it's going to have intrinsic value down the road, and it may even have more. You plan stock portfolios. You plan for your college education for your kids. You have learned patience. And what's funny about it is the quicker you learn it, the better. But let me tell you who's not patient. Leftist. Leftists want what they want, and they want it now. They want it immediately. We want nationalized health care, and we got Obama. Boom, you get Obamacare. And they gave it to us whether we liked it or not. They didn't look at it and say, wait a minute. Let's look at the bad parts. Let's take that. Let's do this methodically. Let's take this patiently. No, we're going to ram it through. Now, they claim that's what we're doing with taxes and all these other things and the abandonment of Obamacare. All we're doing is undoing the reckless nature of their lack of patience. Now, when you think about patience, and I already gave this away, the most impatient people on the planet are children. Children want what they want when they want it, and if they don't get it, they're in the supermarket doing little, waddling around on the floor throwing temper tantrums. And you know what we've done? We've indulged their lack of patience. We don't want to fight them. Go ahead and give them the doggone candy bar. Give them the lollipop. Let them go to the zoo. Just stop. We've indulged their lack of patience. And that's our fault. Because we know what's right, we know what's wrong, and we still have let them get away with it. And you've exercised patience. You want to know why? Because you've believed, wrongly, that leftists will correct themselves, that they will outgrow it. Your kids generally do. Because they eventually get into the real world and go, holy cow, people are no longer catering to me. People aren't showing patience for my bad behavior. In fact, they're revolting against it. So see, they're forced to learn life's lessons. That's the sad part of leftism. You can talk about all these things in your theoretical, think tanks at colleges and universities, but when reality hits, it's going to kick you square in the naughty bits for you guys. Girls, I don't know. It'll punch you in the face. The funny thing about reality is it doesn't care about gender. It doesn't care about religion. It doesn't care about sexuality. No, reality doesn't give a crap. Reality's like, what? Oh, you need a dose. And it'll slap you upside the head. And it doesn't care. It says, so sue me. Reality is a mofo, okay? And it will hit. There's no question about it. So you've exercised patience. You did it the right way. Now, I'm not telling you that I think we waited too long. we could have shaved a decade off this, all right? But for whatever reason, God saw it in his wisdom to make us wait till 2016 to figure things out. And that's when we decided, okay, it's now time to act. Because as I said, Tolstoy, you know who he is. The two most powerful warriors are patience and time. In other words, it was just a matter of time before we decided we were going to go to war. And we did it. And what did we get? We got this amazing U.S. economy. We have this amazing president who actually cares about us and who actually wants to make sure that the legislation that he puts forth benefits Americans. British poet Edith Sitwell said this. She says, I'm patient with stupidity, but not with those who are proud of it. And that's probably one of the most profound things you could use when you're talking to a leftist. Same thing you could do when you're talking to your kids. I'm patient with stupidity, but not with those who are proud of it. Can't say it better myself. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. There was a guy who wrote, well, let me say who I am first. Kevin Jackson. This is the Kevin Jackson Show. Go check us out. RacePimping.com. And our movie should wrap here sometime in the next few days. And when we're done with that, we will start our premieres. And hopefully you guys will be interested in hosting a premiere or something like that. If you have any interest at all, contact us at kjradio.com, which, by the way, is where you can catch the show on demand 24/7 anytime you want, or listen live when we broadcast. So, I am the problem. There was a filmmaker, his name is Morgan Spurlock, and you're going, who, Kevin? What's he got to do with anything? Yeah. And he revealed in an unprompted extended tweet titled, "I am the problem," instances where he's sexually harassed a female assistant and confessed to cheating on, quote, "every wife and every girlfriend I ever had." Now, this is the guy that did Super Size Me, which is a documentary where he said he went to, McDonald's and he ate it all at the same time and he didn't gain weight or whatever. I don't remember whether he gained weight or didn't gain weight. I didn't watch it. And what I suspect of Morgan Spurlock, or Moreland, if you want to call him that, Morgan Spurlock, is he's an attention seeker. See, guys like him, they say, this is the hot item right now, sexual, impropriety. And he's going, I am the problem because I sexually harassed a female assistant. I don't know what that means, but we'll get to it in just a second. And then he says he cheated on every wife and every girlfriend he ever had. So that's the problem. Let me just say this to Morgan, and I know I'm talking to the entire audience, but here's the deal, Morgan. Every one of your girlfriends and your wives, they cheated on you. Now, you're saying, whoa, Kevin, hold on, women, you're talking about women here. Women are sacrosanct. I mean, come on, what are you doing here, man? Don't become a misogynist. No, I'm telling you, they knew what he was doing, and they cheated on him. Morgan thinks he's been carrying around this guilt. I cheated on all of them. Let me tell you, these women saw Morgan was making mortgage payments for people. As my friend would say, he's fattening up frogs for other snakes. Those women that spent their time with him got to say, I was with a filmmaker or whatever. And look, I'm not trying to be mean towards all women. I'm just telling you, Morgan wants to take on. He's saying men are evil, men are bad, men are dogs. Really? Okay. So tell us what we don't already know about guys. But guess what? The women's movement occurred, and women are just as bad. I'll give you a story. So one of my buddies is a famous song. Well, he's not famous in the sense that who he is, but his songs have been sung by, very important, not important, but big names, Madonna and others. Along that line, got hit records. He doesn't have to work. And he tells me a story. We were talking and he says, Kevin, he goes, 2 times in my life this happened. He goes, I was in a session, and I won't tell you who the artist was, but he says, I'm in there with an artist and we're recording, and because he's also a jazz pianist. He's a really good keyboardist. So he goes, we're recording, and we get done. He's a good-looking guy, and he goes, we get done, and they were recording a 3-woman group, and he was sitting in with them. And he says, they wrap up, and one of the women says to him, the lead singer comes up, and they say, well, hey, what do you guys want to do with the other musicians? We're going to go get some dinner or whatever. And the lead singer says, you guys, you ladies go ahead and go with them. I'm going to stay behind and perform, I'll just say, Lewinsky on my friend. And he was like, taken aback. Like, what? Now, this is a kid raised Catholic, religious, by the way, this was before he became, had his dollars, got his bucks. But he's like just taken aback, like, no, we're going to go to dinner. And then it happened again. He says they were at a gig, and I don't know the details, but I know one of the ladies was singing, and it was a group, and they came to the bar. He was over by the bar, and he says that we all played the same, this venue, and one of the ladies came over and said identically the same thing when everybody goes, hey, do we all want to go and do something else? She says, no, I'm going to stay behind and do this. 2 different women. And he says, Kevin, it was that point, I was thinking, wow, the sexual revolution is just wild. He goes, in his wildest dreams growing up, he would have never believed that women would come to him and say something like that. So Morgan wants to ride this wave of feminism He's admitting, I'm the problem. But he's not just saying him. He's saying it's all of us. And here's what he says. As I sit around, hero after hero, man after man, fall at the realization of their past indiscretions, I don't sit by and wonder who will be next. I wonder, when will they come for me? Spurlock wrote before detailing an incident when in college in which he said the woman he was dating, quote, believed she was raped. Light bright, that kid's toy, that's all I can see and think about, she said, and she started to cry. Spurlock recalled her saying, I didn't know what to do. We stopped having sex and I rolled beside her. I tried to comfort her to make her feel better. I thought I was doing okay. I believed she was feeling better. She believed she was raped. Now, look, I'm not here to moralize about different people's situations, but, you know, what we are doing right now is we are opening up Pandora's box. And guys like him are not really helping, because all these so-called repressed feelings are, you know, the people are like, oh, you know what, in that situation, I didn't feel like he loved me. I felt like an object. Well, did you say that when you first began? And the answer is no. And I'm not saying that when somebody decides, you know, and again, no is no, whether it's during or whatever, but the point is, that's so speculative and it's so out there, and this guy is feeding the real issue, because the real issue is there are women who are being brutalized, not by I'm with a guy and I don't know if I want to be with him and all. That's human interaction. We're not talking about women that are getting dragged into, you know, whatever, and accusing men, and we're taking the spotlight off of these real issues. And I think that's the danger of guys like him. And let me tell you, all Morgan Spurlock is trying to do is set the stage for his next project. I went out and I talked to all my old girlfriends and I talked to women about these situations. And oh, by the way, here's my documentary, and come see it because it's going to make me some money. He's not really looking to solve a problem, because if he were, he'd be asking a lot of different questions than just this. He'd be exploring much more of the psyche of the women involved and what was going on, explaining to us what was going on at the time than he is. But that's not what he's trying to do, and that's not what the left tries to do. They just try to jump onto something and profit. Short break. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. A friend of mine sent me a graphic, and it said something that toxic mothers are far worse than absentee fathers. And I thought to myself, toxic mothers are bad, no doubt about it. But what makes a mother toxic could be the fact that the father left. Now, we can argue which comes first, chicken or the egg. I don't know. Don't care. But I want to focus on the toxic mother part right now, because I was having a separate conversation with one of my friends, and we were talking about these crazy black chicks that we watch these videos, and it came from I was looking at the what they call it, the Knockout Gang videos, and then I started seeing all these videos of crazy black women just going nuts. Not, you know, catching their guy cheating, but just like in one case, a security guard at one of these little strip malls, there was a shooting or something that happened inside, and he was getting people out who were creating problems. Maybe it was the kids were bothering the vendors, and his job is to get people out. So he was kicking people out. And as he's kicking people out, he kicks out this girl, this woman, who's got a couple of kids, one of them on her hip, and she just goes in a cursing tirade. I mean, you know, got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a baby on the hip. And she's just MF this, and you MF, and you B, and you this, and she's just cursing this man up one side and down the other. And the security guard is a black dude, big black dude. He's like, whatever. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, just get your butt out of here. You know. So he's kicking him out. And there's people gathered around, And there's kids playing all over the place, just running around. And she's still just cursing. And I'm going to come back here. I'm going to shoot. She's threatening to kill him. And he's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, fine. And so, and I'm thinking, the whole time I'm thinking of many thoughts go through your head like, okay, so black chicks are always wondering, why is it that, black men are not marrying black women? Well, that was one of my thoughts that went through my head. And that's not to say that white women don't get crazy too, but there's another layer that comes with a black woman. And I think a lot of people know this. This isn't Kevin Jackson coming up with stuff. This is the truth. And so there's that. But I'm looking at these kids and I'm going, how many generations do I know where black women have acted like that? And what I call a toxic mother towards their children. Now, part of it, I'll forgive them. The frustration of not having a man, somebody who can help and be a disciplinarian and a father and all that. I get that if there's anybody that's suffering through that, it's the black community. And it's been happening since the 60s. It got put on steroids in the 60s and 70s. And now we are where we are, where 70+% of black kids are born out of wedlock and don't have two parents in the household. Single mother families outweigh whole families in the black community. And that's pretty sad. It's actually pretty pathetic. So I want to ask people in general, certainly women, ask yourself, would you be a little bit more, would you be more anxious? Would you have issues if you only, if you didn't have that significant other? What would that do to increase your problems in the community? Your problems in your own family, things like this. And by the way, many white women are beginning to experience this as society goes a different direction. Has been, shifting to leftism. So this isn't limited to blacks, but it's just a problem that is more glaring in the black community. I want to be clear about that. So here's what this article says. Even the most chill relationships between mothers and daughters have bumps in the road. It's pretty much impossible to be on the same page as the people who raised you, especially as you get older. Now, I find that statement interesting because I wasn't on the same page as my grandparents in many ways. They raised me like they were Democrats, but they raised me as a conservative. And I saw the difference, but I also recognized the gap in our, how we grew up, and I could forgive their ignorance on the subject. But they raised me in the right way, the way that they were raised. So I don't disagree. And from a political standpoint, they taught me how to look at things objectively, even though they couldn't. So I can't tell you, I can say, yeah, there were differences in us, but the core values that they taught me, we were equally yoked. But this author says, no, as you get older, you're going to differ with your parents. No, as you get older, you actually come closer to your parents in thought process. That's what I believe. What was funny is that if you think about it from my perspective, I was actually more like the parent. I know that sounds weird, but politically speaking, I was. I could see how my grandparents were raising me. And over the years, even though my grandmother never in her life voted Republican, I saw her understanding it, even though she couldn't rationalize the conservative point of view and how she really was one, and she shouldn't vote for a Democrat. It was ingrained in her to vote for a Democrat regardless. Next sentence, this person says, but if your conflicts with your mother seem to go beyond what's normal and into an area that leaves you feeling sad, helpless, or bad about yourself, then the two of you may have a toxic relationship. Now, toxic relationships can happen to anybody. Father to son, father to mother, whatever. You get what I'm saying, all the different combinations. I'm not going to go through them. Well, there's nephew to cousin, and no, just kidding. So they can happen to anybody. But with parents, particularly biological, it really is an interesting pull, because it's like I saw a show with a lady whose father killed the mother of the child, but she said even though he's on death row, I feel something for him. I feel a sense of loss. And I understood what she was saying, given that my dad was a deadbeat. But there was a point in my life where I was like, but I still want to know him. Now, when he died, I didn't care about it at the time. I was like, but at that point, he just burned too many bridges. So I didn't care. But maybe deep down in my psyche, I still do. But I can't find it. But we had a toxic relationship of sorts. So they say a toxic relationship is based around anger, emotional manipulation, or other negative and hurtful feelings instead of mutual support. This is what's lacking in these relationships, mutual support, whether it's the mother supporting the kids in these single parent relationships or the kids supporting the mom, etc. And who teaches that? Who teaches you to say to your son, when your mom is sick, she does a lot for you. You at least have to go and inquire to see what's happening with her, or she's going to feel like it's a one-way street. It takes a parent, another parent, to say to a child, learn that empathy. Learn how to see what your mom's doing. Or mom says to a child, go check on your dad. He works hard to make sure you got baseball practice or you did so-and-so. This is what, these whole relationships do. You get to fill in the gaps and put the puzzle pieces together for each other, and that's missing. And so I watch these crazy videos. If you have some time on your hands, watch one of these crazy videos of these black chicks going off, whether they're fighting in I watch one where two of them go off in a chicken joint or some restaurant over nothing. It was the lady who was working in the place was completely disrespectful, and the other girl called her out on it, who had a baby with her, and those two go to blows. Watch these videos. Don't misunderstand me. I've seen crazy but white girls go to blows as well, but not a fraction. It's a fraction of the number that you can find on YouTube. And guess what? As a culture, black people are all too happy to put it out there, but then want to get mad at you when you bring it up. They go on to say, you can't dump family. Your family's there. You can't dump them. So, and nor should you. But we have a lot of that going on now. I watch these shows. I don't talk to my mother because, she laughed when I was picking out my wedding dress. That's all it took. So I'm not exonerating absentee fathers. Absentee fathers, as far as I'm concerned, you're one of the worst people on the planet if you're not taking care of your kid. I'm not saying absentee in the sense of you no longer live with your babies, with your former significant other. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you don't actively do your part to parent, even if you're, it's like you could be in the military, deployed. You still want to parent. You still get the kids on the Skype or whatever they use, and you say, hey, your mom's telling me you're doing this, you're doing that. You can't do this. You back the play of the custodial parent or whatever. But we should be more engaged because we're creating these toxic mothers, and nobody's addressing them. No, I don't believe people are really understanding how to help these people become better human beings and better parents.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. What do we talk about here? We talk about politics. We talk about pop culture. We talk about wackademia. We talk about Hollyweird. We talk about all the crazy things that are going on. And here's what you learn at the Kevin Jackson University, the Blacksburg University, Kevin Jackson Chancellor. You learn that leftists are crazy. Nuttier than squirrel turds. And the reason is they've lived in an echo chamber of ignorance for so long. And it's up to us to get them fixed. Yeah, I mean neutered and spayed. We do not want them to breed. And there's a reason for this, because they're crazy. So I'll give you the latest example. The latest example has to do with math. Not meth, math. You'll think it has to do with meth when I'm done. But add math to the list of white privilege nonsense. Now, I apparently got a minor in white privilege when I was in college, and I had no idea. You see, as you guys know, I've got degrees in electrical engineering and computer science, and I charted a course for success as an electrical design engineer years ago. But little did I know that my degree in math is what would lead me to the success that I currently experience. It was my roadmap. You see, when you get an electrical engineering degree in college, all you need is one more class to get a minor in math. So I remember when I was talking with one of my counselors, I was like, what should I do? He's like, well, Kevin, you might as well go and get the math minor. It's only going to take one more class and it counts towards your degree, blah, 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 blah. So I go, okay, great. So what should I take? He says, well, you can take partial differential equations, PDE. Now, I'd already taken differential equations, so I figured partial couldn't be much different, right? I mean, I already had the whole. Why couldn't I just take the part? For you math guys, that's a funny joke. The class was taught by a NASA mathematician. Her name was Dr. Lamb, and she was quite the hottie. Probably 6-7 years older than us, but she was brilliant. And let's just say the subject and my professor had my full attention, but I digress. I learned that while taking Calculus 1, 2, and 3, linear algebra, differential equations, and partial differential equations, I was actually performing cultural appropriation of white privilege. I didn't know this. Who came up with calculus? The Greeks. It had to be the Greeks, because it ends up with an S, like Pythagoras and Badusifus and whatever, right? Medusius, Luciferus, Loricius. You sure they were Greek? They sure sound black to me. Get over here, Pythagoras. Get over here with your little crazy butt, Pythagorean. Those sound black to me. Oh, my goodness. Cultural appropriation of math, white privilege. It doesn't get any crazier. So this is the Fox News report. Math education professor at the University of Illinois says the ability to solve geometry and algebra problems in teaching such subjects perpetuates so-called white privilege. And her name is Rochelle Gutierrez. Last time I checked, she shouldn't have been getting a degree in math. I don't know many Mexican math, savants or history people in history. I'm not saying I know them all, but I don't know them. Anyway, Rochelle Gutierrez laid out her views on this subject in an article for a newly published anthology for math educators titled Building Support for Scholarly Practices in Mathematical Methods. Has she not seen, was that movie with Jaime Escalante? It was played by James Olmos or something like that. What's his name? James Olmos? The Mexican dude with the jacked up face? It was the equivalent of Lean on Me, but it was like it was a Mexican dude teaching all these Mexican kids in the barrio how to do calculus, and he had Jaime Escalante was his name, and he had a methodology for teaching calculus that worked, and these Mexican kids learned calculus. It was amazing. It was a great story. I forget the name of it, but I watched it. And so was he culturally appropriating white folks or Greeks? I ran into a Greek guy at a party, and he chuckled and said, you know, that he didn't realize that, you know, that it was that big of a deal culturally. And I told him, just don't try any math on me, man. Let's just keep it, keep this conversation cordial. You can't get any crazier than this. School mathematics curricula emphasizing terms like Pythagorean theorem and pi perpetuate. Maybe English is racist too. Oh, it is actually. I've heard that. Perpetuate a perception that mathematics was largely developed by Greeks and other Europeans, she says, according to Campus Reform. Well, I do know that algebra was developed by the Arabs. What can I say? Thank you, Southern Methodist University, for sneaking in my understanding of the Pythagorean theorem at no charge. Actually, that happened quite a bit earlier at my little hillbilly country school in Brady, Texas. When you hear stories like this, do you understand how insane leftism has become? See, it's one thing for some stupid butt professor to teach this crap in humanities class. But when they try to teach oppression in STEM classes, you know they've lost it. STEM classes are science, technology, engineering, and math. These are classes that have no bearing on on who's developed. Was it a white person, a black person, Hispanic, or whatever? When it comes to science, technology, engineering, and math, you want the best results. Physics, mathematics, they obey laws. It's almost like the left is saying, let's disregard the laws of physics or the laws of mathematics, proven theorems, because we need to know who developed them. I mean, using logic, gravity, for example, discriminates against whites, doesn't it? White guys can't jump. Who runs the fastest? Usain Bolt. It's always a sea of black people in the sprints. So apparently gravity is being very discriminatory to white people. The article continues. She also says that addressing equity in mathematics education will come when teachers can understand and negotiate the politics outside the classroom. On many levels, this is her, mathematics itself operates as whiteness. Who gets credit for doing and developing mathematics? Who is capable in mathematics? Who is seen as part of the mathematical community is generally viewed as white, she writes. Okay, well, let me tell you how you change that. I know this will be shocking to many of the people that follow my work. You can change that by, if you're black, becoming an amazing mathematician. Maybe you'll win the Fields Medal. That's more prestigious than the Nobel Peace Prize. The Fields Medal is only given out once every 4 years, and it's a medal given out to the top mathematician. Black people can win it. Hispanics can win it. Look, I don't know who's going to win the next Fields Medal. I'm not following mathematics to that degree, but I do know this. There are some amazing mathematicians in all colors. The ladies, they just made a movie about mathematicians. What was that movie? Hidden Figures in NASA. These were amazing female mathematicians. Helped just build our whole interplanetary thing. I mean, that's how we got men in outer spaces with these black chicks. I talk often of an Indian guy by the name of Ramanujan. He's now is not Oxford. He's at one of the colleges in Britain, right next to Sir Isaac Newton. His work, his book is there. An amazing Indian mathematician. So this idea, look, from my perspective, I don't care who comes up with the math. Would I like to see somebody that's a mathematical brain be black? Absolutely. They exist. Go do the work. White people have proven they don't mind I mean, maybe back during the time of Democrats ruled the land, they cared. They don't care today. If you're the brightest mathematician, go forth and conquer. But it brings up a lot of questions. Do we pay royalty when I'm calculating getting my change back when I go to the store? Do I have to pay a royalty to white people? I thought math was free, a gift to civilization. But academics teach that we must know who discovered the work, and if it's not a minority, then I have to refuse to use it? It's just ridiculous. Such is leftism.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.